How's
I
it going?
I am okay. If you can just give me a couple of seconds. Apparently, there were two links. You sent two links. One was different from the other, and it just dawned on me. I was logged into the other one, and I was like, okay, what's going on? Waiting, and I was like, no, she's got a strong social following. I don't think she's gonna flake. Um, and then it occurred to me that I might be, that I had noticed that there were, or the thought occurred to me that I might be in the wrong link. So I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. I was here
I
on
was late
time.
myself. This is my first time I was late myself to the podcast.
Oh, good. That makes me feel so much better. It really
We're all just
does.
human out here, just trying to make it.
So,
And we are already we're live. We just can't. We just got live.
oh, okay then.
So hey, how the hell are ya?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Um, no, actually, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I had a really good podcast earlier today about I don't want to hack it. It was like physics. It was Reginald Martin, and it was really good. I related to it a lot because, um, like growing up, I was in a household that taught religion but used it like kind of as a control mechanism.
Right.
And he was talking about how to get closer with our divine self, and I could just really relate to it. And he was hitting all the marks that I'm
Mm,
going through right now, and it gave me literal chills. So, and it
that's
just made me
awesome.
feel better about the day and about my choices. So I'm doing good. Life's good.
Awesome. Really glad to hear that. So it's great when you have a good podcast session where it flows and yeah.
It is.
I I'll share this with you. I this is like my 27th or 28th podcast that I've done
Damn.
since like April. Um, and I always feel that the mark of a great podcast is when I make the host cry. I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
I have not cried yet.
Oh well. Since I told you now, you know, to me that's like the ultimate mark. I connected with them. So
Okay, well,
yeah,
I'll
and
brace
I
myself. I'll brace myself. How is it
no,
now, Christy? I turned up my mic settings, but earlier it was echoing, so I've been having just trouble with my mic. So pardon, pardon my technology.
no, you are a little faint. Is there someone else on with us?
No.
Oh,
Oh, can you see like when I show it on the stream, the comments?
no, I think I might have them turned off. Let me see. Okay, now they're on.
Okay, yeah. I have my friend Christy on, and she's not on with us, but she's on watching on Facebook or YouTube, and I asked her to just check my mic settings. Am I still faint?
A little bit, a
What
little
about
bit.
now?
Oh, now you're great.
Oh, okay, groovy.
So I looked over your podcast profile, and it seemed like what really stood out to me was mental illness.
Amen.
That's a priority. Do you mind
Yeah.
if I take 90 seconds and introduce myself and
No,
give
I was
trigger
yeah.
warnings?
Have at it, please.
Okay. So I'm Adrienne Caldwell. I'm the author of the book Unbroken: Life Outside the Lines. It's the story of my life from early childhood to early 20s. And during this time, I was either the witness to or the victim of the sexual assault of a young girl, the drowning death of another, emotional and physical abuse, extreme poverty, mental illness, homelessness, horrifically abusive foster care, bulimia, drug and alcohol addiction, pedophilia, death, suicide, and incest. So,
So
as you
pretty
can
much all the
imagine,
damn things.
I have a rather extensive list, yes. So I haven't been to war, so there's that. But yeah, I cover a wide range. And mental illness is very close to my heart. Of course, with everything that I've gone through, ultimately, well, I was actually told in my early 20s that I was bipolar, and I kept that diagnosis for 20 years before I met my recent psychiatrist. And by recent, I've been with her since 2008, and she just retired.
Oh no.
She told me, she said, Adrienne, you're not bipolar, you have severe PTSD. And I was like, the light bulb went on. I was like, okay, that
Validating.
yes, that makes sense, and it fits so much better. But I was my first psychiatric evaluation took place when I was 13 years old, and the results of the evaluation I came back with early onset attachment disorder, reactive attachment disorder, dysthymia, which is the precursor to major depressive disorder, obsessive compulsive, and I did that with school, with everything in my life being the way that it was, just awful. I used school as my escape. So I was obsessive compulsive about it. And anxiety. And those stay with me to this day. So um, yeah, it's not surprising. Not well. What is surprising is that I'm not schizophrenic. My mother and father are both schizophrenic. My grandfather was schizophrenic, and I have a cousin who's schizophrenic. So I am incredibly grateful that I'm not schizophrenic. It feels like it was a coin toss, like 50-50. What
Really?
or yeah. So, and in my family, they don't believe in mental illness.
Oh no.
If you can actually believe that, like it's hard to believe that they don't believe.
It
Um,
is and it isn't because the generations before us was different.
yeah,
But
but
we've come so far in mental health. It's it's hard to watch somebody that has mental illness that doesn't believe in it. It's hard to deal with and it's hard to watch.
well, their father, so my mother was one of four siblings. Their father was schizophrenic, and my aunts and uncle watched my mom develop schizophrenia. When I was starting to write this book, I interviewed my uncle. He's the only remaining sibling alive. And he said that my mother, up until she had me really, was normal. She went to school, she did well, she wanted to become a nurse after she graduated. Things were going very, very well for her, and she was close with the eldest son. And he said, Uncle John said that she just changed, and they witnessed like the decline from normal to full blown schizophrenia. So, and then with my cousin, he's in prison, and he was diagnosed there by multiple psychiatrists as being schizophrenic. And my family does not understand that it's an illness, just like diabetes,
Yeah.
and you need medication for it. I tried explaining that it's like judging a diabetic for needing insulin. Nobody would judge a diabetic for taking insulin. It's just ludicrous. And I feel the same way about mental illness and medication. There should be no judgment. It's a biological, logical, physiological, chemical condition, and the judgment just needs to go away. And
That's what I try and do here is that's why we talk about it to make it more normalized.
absolutely, absolutely. But even when I was diagnosed, when they told me my diagnosis of major depressive disorder at 15, I went home, well, to the foster home, and I took my razor apart and I cut my wrists because I thought that I was damaged and defective and I would never be able to have a normal life. And I've obviously come a long way, but growing up with the family that I did, I started off believing what they believed, and it's been a journey, and oftentimes a very isolating journey because I can't share my mental status with my family members. The only person who supports me regarding this is my Aunt Rose. And in my early 20s, she went with me to at least 5 different psychiatric appointments trying to find a medication that would treat my depression. I cycled through almost all of them eventually. And she's it. So
Um, do you want to just like fill in the blanks? Like tell us your story.
that would take a book. Uh,
Your book, Life Outside the Lines, Unbroken.
Unbroken Life Outside the Lines. That's correct.
Okay.
And it is available for pre-order on Amazon. So I expect to release it December 1.
December
Hopefully,
1st. I
yes.
think I have your. Do you have a website?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Unbrokencaldwell.com.
I do believe I have that linked into the caption too, and if not, I'll go back and link that for sure. Because
Awesome.
I
Thank
love
you very much.
supporting, I love supporting that.
Thank you.
Um, your story begins in places many people can't imagine.
Mm,
What's one moment from your early life that still echoes in your healing journey today?
mm. One moment that still echoes today. So, my Aunt Rose, she is not my aunt by blood. She married into the family. She married the eldest son, Uncle John, the one I did the interview with. And the transcript for that interview is actually on my website. So,
Oh, you
my
actually like you have a podcast and you interviewed him?
no, I don't have a podcast, but I sat down with him. His two sisters and the other brother, they're now deceased. So he was the last sibling alive that I could talk to. And I asked about the his parents, my grandmother and grandfather, and what his childhood was like, and all of that in as well as my CPS case files, my psychiatric evaluations, letters that I wrote while a ward of the state of Texas. Everything is available on my website, and
Wow.
my psychiatric evaluation and an abuse diagram is included at the end of my book. And that evaluation, that psychiatric evaluation is the one with with what we discussed earlier. I was 13 and diagnosed with those things. In fact, one line says her depression is likely to worsen and will need medication. They knew when I was 13 years old that it was going to evolve and get much, much worse. So, happy moment that I remember Aunt Rose, the really only supportive family member, and she's not even blood, regarding my mental well being. I remember sitting on her lap at like 11 o'clock at night, and the siblings would play cards. So Uncle John and Aunt Rose and my other aunt and uncle, they would play spades. And the other kids all had to go to bed, but Aunt Rose would let me stay up and I would sit on her lap, and I was very still and I didn't talk, and I got to be with the grown-ups and witness their interaction. And I actually lived with those sets of aunts and uncles over my childhood before I went into foster care. I bounced between their houses because my mother was actively schizophrenic and not able to hold a job that would support us living independently. And it was so bizarre seeing the way two family members, so my aunt and then Uncle John, two siblings, how differently they lived. With Uncle John and Aunt Rose, they were working class, blue collar, but they were clean. They were motivated. They were ambitious. They did not do drugs. Whereas, sorry about that, I get dry mouth. The other aunt and uncle were absolute, and forgive the term, but white trash. They were literally white trash. They were filthy. They did not clean. When my mother and I lived with them, we did all of the cleaning. They were very lazy. They smoked marijuana with us kids in the car, and they didn't even crack a window. So I remember they had a son and a stepdaughter. Um, I remember being in the back seat with my two cousins and driving around in this car that is just full of smoke. I have no idea how they never got pulled over because, and there we were, kids sitting in the back street while they were getting high while driving. And seeing that is what really drove me away from drugs. Ultimately, I did become addicted to a drug, but I saw how they lived, their lifestyle, their decisions, and I knew that I wanted to be like Aunt Rose and Uncle John, not like them. So it it was crazy to me how differently they lived. Two siblings from, they were raised exactly the same, which was abusive sexually and physically. So that's my happy moment, sitting on my aunt's lap while they play spades. And I actually say that God didn't give me a mother and father, He gave me two mothers. And that's my Aunt Rose.
Love that. That reminds me of like me growing up and my aunt and my great grandma. My great grandma raised me because my mom was, I think bipolar is a very. It seems like it's a very. I don't know how I would say this. A blanket term.
Mm.
Um, I feel like a lot of people get diagnosed bipolar when it's really. It could be borderline personality disorder. It could be, like you said, PTSD, depression, and but really, I think that she had borderline personality disorder. That is what I have. Um, and so my great grandma raised me, and her and my aunt would play euchre or rummy, and they'd be hooting and hollering like, "Sandy, you better stop cheating," and stuff like that. So that's what that reminds me of. That's a nice memory. Um, when you're talking about your past traumas and all of this stuff, how do you how do you ground yourself?
So, first and foremost, gratitude. I live a life now that if you had showed the 15-year-old me the life that I live now, the 15-year-old me would have called you a liar. There is no way I would have believed that I would have the life that I do. So, absolutely first and foremost, gratitude. I have an amazing life. It's not perfect. I'm medically disabled. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I'm in pain every single day. But my husband and I have been together for 8.5 years now. We got engaged after 4 months, and I demanded a 1 year engagement period.
Okay.
So,
Smart.
and yeah, we loved each other. I knew when I sat down the first time that I was going to marry him, but he is amazing. Now, he's the only normal person I know. I've never met anybody who doesn't have like some sort of trauma or condition, and he doesn't. He comes from a blue collar family, so they were not wealthy. He got school lunch and state health insurance, but he's normal, and he he does his best to understand me, but he's incredibly supportive, and we were very fortunate. He's an executive with a company and does well. I received disability benefits. I Before I became disabled, I was a certified financial planner with a financial institution that serves the military. So we have a beautiful home, and something that took me about 2 or 3 years before I got used to. So I went to 13 schools by the time I graduated high school. That was high school.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm very used to moving every 6 months to 1 year. And the first 2 or 3 years, so when we got married, we actually bought the house before we got married because of my engagement period. Um, we bought this home, and it's beautiful and amazing, and you will find me out in the backyard when it's sunny and warm. It's my haven. And I have a 20-year-old daughter who's currently in college, and she is the reason that I got my life together. Without her, I'd probably be dead. I mean that literally. So, when she was born, I didn't bond with her immediately. Remember the attachment disorder? I didn't bond with her. She was born August 7th, and my husband's parents were over from England. They came over for her birth, and I would just cry at night and tell him that I could not raise her, and to go with his parents, go back to England and raise her, that I couldn't do it. And I stayed in that mentality until November 8th. So August 7th to November 8th. November 8th, I woke up in the morning. Well, might have been early afternoon. I was hungover. I was asleep on the bathroom floor on the mat, the fuzzy mat. And I made the decision that I was going to give my daughter the childhood that I didn't have. And from that point on, I did everything to give her a childhood. And it was derailed when she was 10 years old. Um, Her father passed away unexpectedly. So I was 35 years old. He was 38. So she has not had a perfect childhood by any means, but it wasn't the childhood that I had. So
That's awesome. I love
thank
that.
you. Thank
Yeah. And you were talking earlier about just all the things that you have posted on your website, and I think that you've heard this many times before, but you're going to help a whole lot of people that are struggling because you put your story out there and you put yourself out there. You are.
that's the goal. Um, I will consider my book a success if I truly, profoundly impact and change one person's life. And I mean a true change, a true impact, which is very rare. People change slowly, usually. So if I can be part of changing one person's life, that would be amazing.
I
And
don't doubt that one bit.
it would make the 4 years of hell that I've been in writing this book, it would make it all worth it.
Yeah, Christy, the viewer asks, how hard was it to write your story?
Oh my God. It was awful. It really was awful. It's taken 4 years, and I am like expert level. If we had grades on repression and compartmentalization, each trauma I put in a metaphorical box and I put it on the metaphorical shelf behind the metaphorical door, and everything was just tucked away nicely, neatly. I didn't need to think about any of that because that's in the past, and I'm looking to where I am presently, not even the future, just enjoying today. And writing this book, it actually started when I sat down and started looking at the documents that I had from my Children's Protective Services case file. So I was a ward of the state. My mother relinquished rights when I was 12. And at 18, of course, you're an adult. I was no longer beholden to the state of Texas. They were no longer my guardian. And at 20, I asked for my case file. I wanted to see the documents that they had on me. And they sent me this box, and it had two huge stacks of paper, just everything that you could imagine. Anything that was ever written down about me was in this box of papers. So the psychiatric evaluations, the CPS intake, the abuse diagram, showing the final beating that my mother gave me, and therapist reports, along with reports from the woman who eventually became my foster parent. Evil, evil woman. And so I got this box when I was 20 years old and I put it under the couch, and that's where it stayed for 20 years.
I was gonna ask you, how long did it take for you to go through that box?
20 years.
Wow.
I started when I was 40 years old, and going through it, I got angry not at my mom, who was schizophrenic and beat me with a wooden clothes rod. I wasn't angry with her. The person I was angry with most was the foster parent. And if anyone ever says that emotional or psychological abuse is not a real thing, I will be the first to object, because the abuse that I endured at her hands far outweighed anything that my schizophrenic, physically abusive mother did. So I have never had a nightmare about my mother, not one. But up until about a year ago, I've been having nightmares about this woman, this therapeutic foster mother who was supposed to help me. So, sitting down, going through all of those documents, seeing what she had written, I got angry at what she did to me and the other girls. And I wanted to make sure, one, that she was no longer a foster parent, that she wasn't doing to other kids what she did to me. And then the other thing I wanted was some sort of repercussion, some sort of recourse. And I reached out to lawyers, I reached out to CPS officials, and basically I was just told there's nothing you can do. And that's when I started writing. That was actually the impetus I to write the book. I started writing, and periodically over my life. So when you go to 13 schools, you get really good at meeting people and introducing yourself, and also how to direct a conversation, how to keep the topic of conversation on that other person, never on me, never my history, never my background. And the few times in my life when I would open up to someone, the response that I always got was, "You should write a book." And I just, waved it off as, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, whatever." That's not true. And as it happened to me repeatedly over the course of my life, and as I was going through those case files, that's when I said, "Okay, I'm gonna tell my story." And it's my story, and I am very candid, and feedback that I received about the manuscript was, "Adrienne, there are times where you come off as not that great, really, almost the villain." And my response was, "Well, that's what happened. That's the way I was. Those were the decisions that I was making, and I'm not changing it." So anyone who reads Unbroken is going to see that I made some very bad decisions and that I hurt many people, and that I am not the heroine of my story.
I love that because that's raw and that's real.
It is. It is. And my book is heavy. It can be difficult at times to read. Hell, it's difficult for me to read, and I lived it.
Oh, you
But
actually you've read it?
oh yeah, for editing, and I
Oh, okay.
narrated the audiobook.
Oh, wow. Wow,
So,
wow. That had to have been hard.
yeah, that's why it's taken 4 years. And my husband cannot wait for me to be done because, revisiting those traumas, re reliving them, and bear in mind, your brain can't tell the difference that it happened 35 years ago and not right now. Your brain doesn't experience it any differently. So, it's enduring it as if it's happening present day. And he just wants his happy, chirpy, "Yay, yay, yay, Adrian" back. He's like, "Please, dear God, when you are done with the book." So, which I wish I could say that I've taken it and I'm very positive and everything's great, but that's not the book. Ultimately, that is the message. But my childhood, I didn't get to where I am today all at once. It was very gradual, and the more experiences I encountered or endured, the more I changed. So,
Did you have were you in therapy like while you were writing your book, or how did you deal with the PTSD that came with writing your book, like flashbacks and stuff? Because
mm,
it just that's I know that's a thing.
yeah, absolutely. Um, I was not in therapy while writing it. I did discuss it with my psychiatrist, and she was incredibly supportive. She actually asked if I sent her the manuscript, and she asked if her intern could read it. And her intern gave me the feedback that it was incredibly helpful. It helped her understand childhood trauma much better, and ultimately it even affected her career path, what the specific path that she was going to take as a counselor. So, my secondary audience, apart from people who are struggling and are looking for hope, I would love to have my book and the documents that are online be included in childhood trauma curriculum. So
That would be something.
it would. I just have to figure out how to make it happen. No, writing it was brutal, and it took 4 years because I would take breaks. Um, I talked to my husband and just I took the time that I needed when I needed it. And if that meant that I was gonna sit and watch Netflix for a week in my pajamas, that's what I did. So
Good.
it was very painful, but cathartic. It forced me to confront things that I had tucked away long, long ago.
Do you did you ever have a therapist or just always a psychiatrist?
Yeah. So at 13, when my best friend's family kicked me out, they kept my brother, but got rid of me. They sent me to live with Aunt Rose and Uncle John. And that wasn't working because I was 13 with abandonment issues, depression, anxiety, and they didn't know how to help me. And I decided I wanted to be in a foster home rather than with my aunt and uncle. And originally, when I had first gone into CPS, my brother and I, we stayed with this foster family, a lovely family, beautiful home, very nice. My brother and I shared a room. And when I left my Aunt Rose and Uncle John, that's what I had envisioned, that that's where I'd be going. But home placements are incredibly difficult to achieve. And in order to get one, I had to be put in something called therapeutic foster care. And it's for children with higher needs, be that developmental, emotional, in my case, higher needs children. And this therapeutic program, I had a therapist come out every other week, and my service plan was my depression, my anxiety, and my obsessive compulsiveness with schoolwork. I would spend hours and hours on schoolwork. They actively encouraged me to do poorly in school. Yeah, that it blows my mind. But as I mentioned, that foster home was evil. The woman was evil. And in my book, I call her the bitch from hell and refer to her as TBFH because I refuse to even give her a name. She's taken enough of my life. I'm not giving anymore.
Is she still around today doing the foster home thing?
So I got a little stalkerish and found her address. And she's no longer in this county. I live in Harris County. She lives in Montgomery County. Now, I know that she does not have her license in Harris County. And I reached out to Montgomery County and I tried to explain the history that I had and the abuse that I went through. In fact, the next door neighbor, in a police report, the next door neighbor wrote, prisoners are treated better than how that woman treats those girls. And this woman knew prisons. She worked in the prison system for 30 years. And that's what she had to say about our treatment. So, therapist every other week, not really helpful, honestly. And the foster mother, who was meant to be helping me, meant to have more training and be able to help children with higher needs, comments that I got from her. So when I got my depression diagnosis and I took my razor apart, when she saw it, she ridiculed me because I cut across the vein instead of down the vein. She mocked me. And then another time, I was trying on swimsuits and I came out and I showed her the swimsuit, and her response was, "Your thighs are fat. I'm surprised you haven't started throwing up so you can lose weight." Yeah, I've got that one verbatim in my memory. And that started a battle with bulimia that exists to this day. I still struggle with it.
And you, did the neighbors know what was going on when it was going on?
No.
No.
So my choices, I did have a CPS caseworker who would occasionally check in, like every 6 months. And first, if I had asked to go to another foster home, there weren't any. There's a severe shortage of foster parents. It exists to this day. It is still a problem. The only reason I was able to have a home placement was because it was through the therapeutic foster care. And there was a company, a for-profit company that ran a company that specialized in therapeutic foster care, and the state of Texas contracted with that company. So my foster mother, TBFH, the bitch from hell, she wasn't an employee of the state of Texas. She was an employee of Mentor Youth Services. So the culpability wasn't there. Caseworkers, God love them, God bless them. They are incredibly overworked, overburdened, underpaid. I mean, they are miracle workers one day at a time. And so if I had told my caseworker what was going on in that home, first, there was no place for me. I knew I wouldn't get another residential placement and that I would probably have to switch schools. And the only other option was to go to a girls' home. And the summer after fourth grade, my mother, brother, and I lived in the Salvation Army downtown homeless shelter. And I already knew what living in a shelter was like. So I picked the devil that I knew. I stayed with the bitch from hell rather than trying to get placed somewhere else. So the issues on my service plan, the depression, the anxiety, the OCD, I did get a little bit of help with those issues and then added several more onto it. So yeah, we received therapy, but it's only going to be as good as what you put into it. And at that point in my life, I really wasn't open to it. And ultimately, I got out of TBFH's house because I got a scholarship from Congress to do a 1-year foreign exchange to Germany.
Damn.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And my junior year of high school, you can look at my high school transcript. I think it's online. Um, I spent in Germany, and it was amazing. My
Probably one
host
of your
family,
core memories.
yes, yes, it allowed me to become the person that I am. So I blossomed there. It was a mother, father, and a 5-year-old daughter, and just a normal household, not not super wealthy, not poverty, just a normal home, and they gave me respect and treated me well. And of course, when you're 16 in Germany, you're legally an adult. So I asked my host mom when I first got there, I said, "What's your rule for me about drinking?" And I wasn't trying to binge drink or anything like that. I had never really had a drink before. And she said, "You can drink as much as you want as long as you can make your way home by yourself." And I was like, "Fair enough." So, um, there was one of my classmates. So, in Germany, you have classes that stay together throughout the day. The professors rotate, not the other way around. And one of my classmates had a party, a birthday party, and his family had a farm, so they opened up the barn to us, and, there was alcohol, and my classmates all watched as, like, they were encouraging me to take shots out of the bottle. They were like, "Drink, drink," the naive young American girl, getting her drunk was gonna be fun. And it just it was fun, and I didn't develop I didn't become an alcoholic until my 20s. So, even though my host mom had very lax guidelines around drinking, I was focused on school, on learning the language, and I had this amazing host family that really allowed me to heal from a lot of the trauma of my childhood. So I am still in touch with my host family. I send my host mom flowers every Christmas.
Good.
Yeah. So,
And how long did you stay in Germany for? Just a year?
mhm. And then in college, because I was addicted to cocaine, I decided to do another foreign exchange. And so I went back to my host family and
Oh, really?
yeah, I tried to attend the University of Hamburg, which we lived too far away. It ultimately ended up in failure. By the end, I think I stayed like 3 more months. I bought a car. I remember driving on the Autobahn, but, but my little car wouldn't do much past 100. So, no, they were amazing. And I've actually had my book translated into German, and I
Oh.
sent it to my host mom, and she replied back to me. She said, "Adrienne, I had no idea that you went through all of that." And I said, "I know."
I was gonna ask, like when I guess when she was hosting you, did she know she didn't did you guys talk about your background at all?
Tried
No,
not
she
to.
had no
Remember, I'm
idea.
the queen of repression and compartmentalization.
Wow, that probably blew her mind.
It did. She said she had to take a couple days. That that it was dark. And it is, but it's ultimately about hope, not despair. Hope. But
Yeah.
yeah, I that was in my rear view mirror.
Um, what myths are about trauma or actually, this is a good one. You've spoken about growing up with a schizophrenic abusive parent, two of them. How did you begin to separate your identity from the chaos around you?
So I only had my mother. I I've never known who my father was, and
Oh, okay. I thought.
that's the topic for book 2, um, which may or may not exist. I'm very unsure because of how difficult it was to write Unbroken, Life Outside the Lines. I'm not sure. And what I've gone through hasn't been as traumatic as what I experienced in childhood, but I am medically disabled. I've got rheumatoid arthritis. I got that when I was 35 and had to leave my profession. I was a certified financial planner and I couldn't do it anymore. And then my husband died. suddenly. He passed away overnight, and I was 35, he was 38, our daughter was 10. And there have been other things that have taken place that make me think that there might be a book too. Um, the story about my father, which I'm not going to discuss here. If I write book two, it'll be in that.
Okay.
So,
Um, what myths about trauma or recovery do you wish more people understood?
mm. I wish people understood that people are not their labels. I think that the person being labeled needs to understand that, know that, feel that they are not their label. And for anyone around them, family, caregivers, etc., that person is not their label. They're not their diagnosis. And there is so much more to a person than what's written under diagnosis.
That's a good one. Um, you've described your life as a testament to transformation. What were some of the small wins that helped you build momentum?
So while I was in foster care, because the bitch from hell wanted us away from her home as much as possible, she enrolled the elder foster girl and me into softball. And I am not athletic. You know how on an escalator, the stairs are moving? I still stop and like plan to get on the escalator. So I am not athletic at all. So she signed us up for softball. And of course, my roommate, Heather, she was phenomenal. She had played softball when she was a kid. And you know how every team has to pick one bad person, one really bad player? That was me. I was the bad player for the team. And my stance when I went up to bat was so awkward that by the second year, everybody could count on the pitcher would hit me and I would get a walk and go to first base. Like you could count on it. That's how bad my stance was.
Wow.
Yeah. So the first year we won the league, won. The second year we won it undefeated. And my contribution was getting hit by the pitcher on base.
Hey.
I took it. I'll take it. It counts.
Yeah.
So it's not been all bad.
Good. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I understand this question. Was there a turning point when you realized healing wasn't just survival, but something deeper?
I think that's a flawed question.
Okay. I wanted to make sure because I didn't understand it. I when I go to do podcast, I type in the this description, the bio,
Mhm.
and I type it into Copilot, and they generate questions for me.
Oh,
I'm still
nice.
able to, and then I also come up with my own questions as
Mhm.
I'm interviewing the person. So the next one is, how do you define peace now, and what does it look like in your day to day life?
Peace now in my day-to-day life is being in a swimsuit, floating on a floaty in my pool.
Yes.
I live in Houston, Texas, and it gets very hot here. We do have a lot of rain, but it's usually an afternoon shower and then it clears up. So you will find me floating in the pool. I've got my headphones in, turned up to full volume, so I'm going deaf. Um, and I am just so blessed to have the life that I do now. And when I'm not in my pool, I'm sitting on the couch watching Netflix. My options are limited because I do have rheumatoid arthritis, and it puts a kibosh on a lot of things, going out, going places, doing things. My health limits a lot, but I just focus on what I can do, and yeah, that's my happy place. That
What's
in
your
bed.
favorite Netflix show?
Ooh, Ozark.
Ozark? I've never seen it.
Oh
Is
my
it good?
gosh, you have to watch it. It's really good.
Okay. Okay.
So,
I'll check it.
um,
Um,
it's not a girly show. It's not like a rom com or anything like that.
what is it about?
So this accountant decides to be, he and his wife both make the decision that they're going to help launder money for the second largest drug cartel in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And they were originally in Chicago, and then they moved to the Ozarks, which I don't know what states that is. Um, and it's 3 seasons. I wish it was longer, but it's great. It's not stupid television like reality TV stuff like
Yeah.
that. I don't get into that. Now, I'm not above watching some of it, you know, in all of my, so fall, winter, Netflix and I are best friends because, my RA is flaring up and I'm in pain, and I don't want to move. I can't move. So, yeah, Ozark.
Okay. I'll make a
So
note of that one.
it's good. I think most people can find something in it to watch, and it does discuss mental illness actually.
Does it?
Yep, it has a
Hey.
character who's mentally ill.
Okay.
So see,
I can
we
get into
even
that.
managed to turn Netflix into.
Good. That's progress. Um, for someone listening who feels stuck in their trauma, what's one practice or mindset shift you'd offer?
Put on some music. Put on some happy, upbeat music. And that is just a practical tip. If you're feeling low, just and be careful what you listen to. For me, if there are songs that I just cannot listen to because they take me to very dark places. Um, Hurt by Johnny Cash, not the Nine Inch Nails versions, the Johnny Cash version. I can't listen to. Um, but yeah, happy, upbeat music, and you'd be amazed at least for me, what it does to my mood and how I'm feeling.
I actually did that earlier today, like right
So,
before. I
one
wasn't having a
practical
bad
easy.
day, but I was like irritated and I listened to some good music and I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this interview.
Exactly.
Hmm. What impact do you hope that your book has? I think you kind of already answered that.
I did.
Um,
If I can inspire one person to change their life,
um,
it's my barometer of success.
this is one. If you could speak directly to a young person in the system right now, what would you say?
I would say to not give up hope that what they are going through is a temporary situation. In a few short years, they will no longer have other people making their decisions for them. And to just hold on to that, with everything that they have. And when they turn 18, to make good decisions, whether that means going into the military or going into vocational training, which not many people know this, but when you're in the system, when you're in foster care until you're 18, the state waives tuition and fees at any public university. So,
Until you're 18?
you have to be in foster care and then you turn 18. And then you can go to any public university in the state for free.
Oh wow.
Yes. So vocational training counts. They can enroll themselves in vocational training. They can go into the military. They can go to college, and it's going to be up to them. They're going to be 18, and there is no more caseworker. If well, you can have one if you want one. They're working on the transition for people who turn 18, for people who age out of the system. It's a hell of a lot better than it was when I turned 18. Basically, it was like, bye, and I never heard from them again. Um, but just to hold on. Ultimately, I would tell that person, just hold on. You are so close to being in control of your own life. And then it's up to you and the decisions that you make. Are you going to drink? Are you going to do drugs? Are you going to self medicate? Or are you going to get your act together and become something?
Um, I'm curious, like, what's something that you've said that has made other podcasters tear up? Because I don't want to seem unmoved.
No, no. I, 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 I was joking when I
Oh,
told you that.
oh, okay.
That's not really my goal, to make my hosts cry. No, but they have, and it's usually when I go into details about the bitch from hell, which I didn't really do today. I gave like the high overview. When I go into details, that makes my hosts cry. And when I tell the story of the last beating that I ever received from my mother and her threat to kill me, um, which she meant, and how everything happened for me to end up in foster care. That those stories tend to resonate with my hosts and move them.
Did you say that your mother is passed now?
That's correct. She passed away when I was 22. So I've had a lot of loss in my life. My grandmother protected me from my mother until she passed away when I was 7.
Oh,
And I didn't have a father. So it was my mother and her siblings. And then at 22, my mother passed away. At 35, my husband passed away. At 37, my uncle passed away. And then a year later, my aunt passed away.
your Aunt Rose?
No, the other one.
Okay.
So,
Is Aunt Rose still around?
yes,
Yay!
yes. She
Good.
is amazing, um, and still very much with her.
Supportive.
My husband and I went to Mexico, went to Cancun for vacation, and in the pharmacy at the airport, they sell Retin-A, the face cream that over here you have to get a prescription for it. Over
Okay.
there, they just sell it in the pharmacy. So I always buy it for her, for Aunt Rose, and for her mom. Because you can't in here in the U.S. you have to have a doctor write the prescription. So I bought tubes of them for them, and so I gave them to her when I saw her, and she knows by now to expect it. We go to Cancun every September, so she's like, "Thank you." And I'm like, "Use sunscreen. You have to use sunscreen."
And you said it's supposed your book isn't on Amazon yet. It's December
No,
1st
it's
that it's
there.
going to be. Okay. What
It's
was on
listed.
December 1st?
It's on pre-order right now.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be released December 1. But yes, everyone, please go to Amazon, do the pre order.
Definitely interested in reading that book.
So if you go to my website, unbrokencaldwell.com, and sign up, so just put your name and your email on the form. I will email you the reader magnet, which is the prologue in chapter 1. And
Ooh.
yes, it's available.
Okay. I'll do
So
that after this podcast. Is there? I know there's a lot we didn't cover, but is there anything that you wanted to cover that we didn't cover?
I think I would like to reiterate that Unbroken Life Outside the Lines is a story of triumphing over adversity. That it is ultimately triumph over despair, and it is uplifting. It can be dark at times, but my entire purpose is to be a beacon of light for people who are struggling right now. And I want them to know that what they're going through right now doesn't mean it's permanent, and that the decisions that they make will impact their future and can take them out of their current situation.
I think your life is definitely a testament to that. That you're still standing here today and
Thank,
sharing your story.
thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much for being on our show today. I appreciate your time.
It's a
And
privilege to speak with your audience and you. Thank you.
thank you. I'm looking forward to see, maybe a book two.
Read book one first.
Okay. I'm excited to see like where your journey still takes you because you have a lot of life left in you too. And it can only keep going up from here.
Well, one phrase you'll never hear from me is it can't get worse. It can always get worse. So I don't tempt fate.
Amen. Thank you
All
again
right.
for being here and I hope something amazing happens to you today.
Thank you. I think it did. So
Bye.
it's been great. Bye.